Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Project Freelance. This week on the podcast, I'm super excited to be talking with one of my best buds, Jake Munro. You may know him from YouTube. He is known as Goth Daddy. And this week, we're going to be talking about how he built his empire as a content creator, how he built a business around himself, around a brand that he created. We're going to be talking about his band Monroe. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different things, streaming, gameplay, all kinds of stuff in this podcast. And I hope you stick around all the way to the end. Jake and I are actually, when you're listening to this, we are embarking on a journey across America from San Diego, California to Nashville, Tennessee. Jake flew across the world just to come spend some time with me while I drive across the country. He's actually going to be driving as well, which is great. Figured out that he will be able to drive the car as well, so that will help with the driving load. So I'm super excited about that. So if you guys want to keep up with our journey, you can check out all the content on either Jake's YouTube channel or on the Just the Letter K or No Tracers YouTube channel. I don't know which one I'm putting this stuff on yet, but we'll see what happens. So before we get into this episode, there's just a couple things I got to let you know about. The first of which being, I actually have a photography book called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. It's all about exploring abandoned places. It's a photography book that I put together of my photos and my stories of times that I've gone into abandoned places, and I would love for you to check it out. Pick up a copy at justtheletterk.com/no tracers. Secondly, if you are a new listener to Project Freelance, please hit the subscribe button. There are new episodes almost every single week. I try to get them out every Monday, and 2022, I'm going to be ramping this up, and we're going to be back with full force podcasting. I'm super excited for this year and all the things that are to come. But closing out 2021, I thought we would just jump into this episode and close out the year with it. If you are a veteran listener, if you've been listening for one episode or 500,000 episodes, I haven't done that many podcasts, let's be real. But no matter how many you've listened to, if you like the show, please leave a rating and feedback on the podcast. It helps me grow, especially on the Apple podcast charts. So if you guys like the show, leave a rating and feedback. It means a lot to me. And lastly, I need to thank our partner on this podcast, Liquid Death Mountain Water. If you've never heard of Liquid Death, well, hey, I have an ad for you in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to a new kind of experience that is not for the faint of heart. A new kind of water, straight from the Austrian Alps, packaged in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. So if you want to stand out, if you want to murder your thirst and give back to the planet, give Liquid Death a try. The only thing that stands between you and the Reaper is a can of Liquid Death. Not for the faint of heart. Liquid Death is actually giving us some cases of water for our trip, and I'm super excited to have water on the trip. It's so important, and the fact that we aren't going to be buying a bunch of plastic water bottles that are most likely going to end up in landfills means the world to me. So Liquid Death, thank you guys for partnering with me and supporting everything that I do. I really appreciate you guys. Without further ado, Jake Munro, welcome to the podcast. Please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the Project Freelance audience.
Hi, I'm Jake Monroe. I am a YouTuber and also singer, songwriter for Monroe, as well as audiobooks and other projects to come. And super excited to be here with my best bud, Kay. How's it going?
Oh, yeah. It's going. It is going. It's rainy today. I was supposed to go outside and film some stuff, but it's pouring down rain, so that is not happening today. Yeah, so we had to pull an audible, and it never rains here in California. So when it does, you're like, well, what the fuck
what
is
do
happening? what do I do with all this time that I have now? So tell me what came first for you. Like, what was your initial inception into creative works?
Well, it was something I always wanted to do. It's always been, I could go as far back as being 11 years old, but I think it really started as intent, like the intention to be a self-sustaining artist, creative, or a self-sustaining creative. Whenever I first moved to Northern Ireland from Wales, and I was flat broke, and I convinced my grandparents to take out a loan for me in their name, since they could get such a good rate. They've been paid back. There was no issues with paying them back. Um, in case anyone was thinking I was not good on my word. And with the loan, I got the most basic ass home studio setup. I had like a Mac. Oh, it wasn't a Mac Pro. What was the one before that? It was like a Mac Tower or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I got one of those off eBay for like $300 or something, and cheapest screens I could find, cheapest audio interface I could find. And I got into Periphery like 2 weeks before I bought everything, so I got crazy into Gent, and I bought a 7-string Schecter Hellraiser C7. It was an X Music video guitar, so it was like half price. And I sat down, and it was literally within the first year of moving to Northern Ireland, I got everything shipped over from my old house. And while I was working, like doing a full-time job, I was also writing my first album, Time Feels Revenge, which ended up coming out in 2013. It took that long to do.
I mean, I don't think people realize how long it takes for music to actually be completed and come
Especially
out.
an
Like,
album,
can you talk more about that? Like the process, like, yeah, exactly. An album. I mean, I finished a 7-track, and I don't even know when it's coming out, because there's like this whole other process after you finish something, like before you can release it. I mean, for me, like, we're talking to labels and we're doing that whole thing. So it's like, we don't know when this is going to come out. And now the songs are like 2-3 years old. And it's like, are these dated now? Like, there's this whole other like quandary that we have at this point. So like, can you talk more about like how long it takes to create a piece of music?
Well, yeah, I think especially whenever it comes to independent creation, there's a much longer time scale, because there's, unlike a lot of things that we deal with, you know, like creating YouTube videos, and let me just put that phone on silent, creating YouTube videos or doing videographer work, or releasing a song under a label. All those things have deadlines, and I think you're like me, Kay, like you work really well if there's a deadline. If there's no deadline, then it seldom gets done, because then you prioritize work that does have a deadline first. I mean, you were at my place a few weeks ago, and I showed you an album that I wrote. Again, it's like 7 or 8 tracks, and it's been sitting there for the last 2.5 years. Because it just doesn't have a deadline. So I think creating music independently, especially as a solo artist, I think, you know, it takes so much longer because there is that arbitrary, that, you know, inescapable concept, that an inescapable situation where you don't have a deadline. So that's one of the hardest things to overcome, is trying to get something finished that doesn't need to be finished, especially when you're working on other things, you know. So it can take years. Like, you can initially write everything in a week, but then you have to like master it, or do the, you know, fix the vocals or fix the mix, or, you know, then there's the music videos, or if you just want to release it independently on YouTube, or if you want to like actually release under a label, or if you plan to tour on it. Like, there's like so many things, and the fact that, again, it has no need to be released, it's a lot of work for something like that, you know.
Yeah, and I think the only time that we like can make a deadline is if it's like situation, like if it's a situational album. Like, for example, the pandemic album that I did, and you're featured on one of the songs, like that, obviously we were kind of under a time constraint because we didn't know when the pandemic was going to be over. And like, here we are, 2.5 years later, like still kind of in a pandemic. Like, it's still relevant now, but like we thought it was going to be like 3 months, you know? So we were like, okay, we have to have a deadline of like June or July and like put it out then, because like we don't know how long this is going to last, and we want it to remain relevant during that time. And we had written those songs in 2018, and they just didn't have vocals or lyrics at all until the pandemic like struck. And I was like, inspired to write about the situation that we were all in. And so, yeah, I totally get what you mean about like deadlines and that kind of thing. And can you talk more about like your music background? Like, how did you learn how to play guitar? Like, when did you start doing vocals, that kind of stuff?
Okay. Well, playing guitar, that happened because of Guns N' Roses. I remember very specifically when, which is fantastic. Usually these moments are fleeting and not recorded to long-term memory, but I remember very specifically exactly the moment when I knew I wanted to play guitar. And my dad's old boss back in like 2002, 2001, he collected guitars, and he had this really awesome guitar collection, but he was really, really into like 80s rock, some late 70s rock. So he listened to a lot of like, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, that kind of stuff. A lot of very guitar heavy bands. And I remember being in the truck with him because he had to pick me up from school or something like that. And he put on this cassette tape of Guns N' Roses. And Sweet Child of Mine came on, first time I'd ever heard the song. And it was the uncut guitar solo of Sweet Child of Mine. And I remember sitting there in the truck, just having my mind like just perpetually blown with each note of this guitar solo. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. That was absolutely insane. He was like, yeah, that's Slash from Guns N' Roses. And from that moment, for my 11th birthday, I was like, I need a guitar. I want an electric guitar. That's what I want, because I want to be able to play stuff like that. And then whenever it came to doing vocals came out of necessity, because I've always struggled to make a band. And it took me a long time to realize why, because I didn't understand at the time, because I always tried to make a band and I just never could. I couldn't keep members. I just couldn't keep members in the band, whereas everyone around me was just having a great time all playing in band together. And it's because whenever I was trying to make a band, I made it immediately clear that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Whereas no one else for lack of another word, at this very moment, hired into the band, they just wanted something a little more casual. So I know now, thinking back, that I must have been very intense. I approached it immediately from a business standpoint as well as a passion project, and I knew how I wanted it to sound, and I knew where I wanted it to go, and I think maybe that was too much for people, so I couldn't keep people in the band. So eventually, whenever I finished college and I moved to Northern Ireland and I got that home studio, I made quite a solid stance on being a solo project. I was like, I'm not waiting on anyone anymore. I'm not waiting for the bassist to learn his parts so he can forget them the next week. I'm not going to wait for the drummer to, remember to show up or even answer his phone. I'm actually just going to do everything. I Googled, drum software, and TuneTrack was doing some good stuff at the time. Still using Superior Drummer. And I just did all my own stuff. And that was one of the first times I had done it previously. That was one of the first times that I actually got up in front of the mic and I did my own vocals. I'd learned how to scream about 2-3 years before, but I'd only ever done one song and it was terrible. So whenever it came to do Time Feels Revenge, it was purely out of necessity, and I was not good at it, and I was really frustrated. I didn't have a good mind connection with my voice at all. I honestly don't know why. I think a lot of vocals is honestly quite genetic. There are some people who just open their mouths and just this incredible sound comes out, and some people like me take years and years and years to just sound average.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. Like, I feel the same way about my own vocals, especially singing. Like, I'm not a naturally gifted singer. Screaming I can do in my sleep with my hands tied behind my back. Like, that's easy. But singing is like a whole other beast that I just am still trying to comprehend, honestly. But so take me into like college. Like, what did you study in university?
Music technology.
Nice.
Because I knew it was almost as if I knew, what I wanted You know, it was to be able to produce my own music. That was immediately what I wanted to do. Like there's a lot of stuff with music I could have done, you know, like I could have learned how to be a better guitarist, but like that is, and you know, this isn't to disparage anyone out there who is currently doing it or has done it, like session musicians, for example, but taking a formal course on being better at your instrument, it, it's it it's ultimately redundant. You know, you can just practice. You know, you can just practice and practice, and like that's what I did. I became one of the best guitarists in my college because I brought my guitar into college every single day, and I practiced sweep picking over and over and over and over. And I listened to Jeff Loomis, his Zero Water Phase album, and I listened to that over and over. And I played it by ear, and I could play the entire album, and I was just constantly pushing my limits. And I had no friends, you know, I didn't have anyone to go out with and go drinking with on the weekends. So I literally just, whenever I wasn't at college, I'd just stay at home and just lock myself in my room and just, you know, play guitar all day, every day. But yeah, I went to college to study music technology so I could produce my own music, so remove more people from the equation, you know, more middlemen between me and creating.
Yeah. I think that learning an instrument is similar to learning a new language.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can take all the classes you want and they'll teach you the formal like way to, you know, speak a language or play guitar or whatever. But like you have to dive into the culture of like guitar playing or language, whatever it is that you're trying to learn, and you have to immerse yourself in it in order to become a professional at it and become fluent in that language, whether it's actual speaking or an instrument. So I agree that, you know, going to school to become better at your instrument of choice like isn't really that necessary, because you need to invest the time in yourself. And you know, I went to film school. I have a bachelor's in film production, and I knew I wanted to pursue film full time as like a freelancer, and I feel like I learned more after I left school just from doing things hands on instead of learning in school. Hold on, let me shut the door. These dogs are going crazy.
I don't know if they do this in America, but over here in the UK, we have road races where they'll cone off and close roads, like public roads, to create a racetrack for like official races, because the track is just like the circuit's just so good, and it's for motorbikes and not cars, I don't think. So we have like the Isle of Man TT, and we also have one in Northern Ireland. And one of the televised, you know, professional circuits, I live right next to it. So whenever it's not being used professionally by all the, you know, professional races, you have a bunch of guys and girls as well. I've seen them taking their, you know, souped up cars and motorbikes to that circuit to do a professional route. And I live right next to where you get onto it. So I hear like V8s and inline fours and race exhausts like several times a day, especially on Sundays.
Oh my God. Wait, so you guys like legally do this?
Yeah, they close like this. It's like a little countryside circuit, and they cone it off and close the roads. And they create this circuit because it's just so good. You know, the roads just happen to make like a fantastic racetrack. So we do, you know, we have like racetrack races, but we also have these public racetracks as well.
That's crazy. See, I'm from Oklahoma, and they just would have two people on either side of the street, and they would just tell people to stop, and they would do illegal drag races. They would just do the races. Like there was nothing legal about it, but they would just do them, and it was the coolest thing ever. And I grew up next to this main street that was like super long and very smooth, and so they would always use that road. So I grew up with like similar sounds, you know, that you're talking about, just going up and down the road. And it's cool that you guys do that like legally, and they like televise it and stuff. Like I grew up where it was like hella illegal, and like they just did it to do it.
Oh, we do those too.
Oh, I'm sure. So let's get into your YouTube background. Like, when did that start for you? Like, when did you start creating content on YouTube? And have you gone back and watched any of those like initial videos that you have on there?
Yes, I have. So YouTube, the whole YouTube thing actually started while I was doing the first album. um, because I was afflicted with terrible, terrible depression when I was writing the first album, because like I was 18, 19 years old. I just moved into my own place in another country, and I was like living independently, and no help from parents either. Not that much from my dad anyway. And I had this job that I hated, and it was just grinding me to pieces. That's when I realized I'm one of those people that just can't do 9 to 5. Some people can, but most people can, but occasionally there are those people who just can't. It's creative types specifically. They can't do 9 to 5s. They can't work for people. They can't do Monday to Fridays. It just destroys them in every possible way. Like, mental oppression becomes, physical afflictions, and you just can't go on. And that's what I was going through at the time. I was I'd gone through all my teens just so determined to be big and famous and creative, and not once did I ever think of doing a 9 to 5, and yet there I was doing it. And it was just, it was scary. But at the time, because I had watched, because YouTube came out when I was in college, which is, weird to think, but YouTube came out.
We're old.
Yeah. YouTube came out while I was in college, and one of my favorite animators was Ego Raptor, aka Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps. And I was also a fan of JonTron as well at the time, not so much now. And they made an announcement on their channel after I moved to Northern Ireland. They're like, "Hey, we're making a channel called Game Grumps, and it's gonna be Let's Play, and it's gonna be goofy fun." And I was like, "That's great," because I love JonTron, I love Aaron, so I'm gonna watch that. So whenever I got like crazy depression, I made a note of when they said the first video was gonna be, and I was there and I watched it, and like for those 10 minutes of them playing Kirby or Mega Man, I think it was like both they released in that day. For those 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, I like literally forgot that I had depression. And it just sort of like, it's like whenever you get like a nasal decongestant and you can actually like breathe through your nose for the first time in a week of having the flu. And you're just like, oh my God, I forgot how good this feels. That's what it was like. So, watching Game Grumps sort of gave me the mental freedom to like write music after a really shitty day of work. And then once I released the album, JonTron left Game Grumps, and that deeply upset me. I just couldn't handle it at all. And it sort of destroyed, this safe space that I had. But thankfully, I had gotten over the depression that I had to a degree, and I decided that the way they had helped me was so important. It was so essential for me to be able to do things in my life that I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do for other people. While the music was being written and released to like Bandcamp or something, because I don't think Spotify was even doing like public uploads at the time. I don't think when did Spotify come about? I don't think Spotify was even around.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, because I definitely did not know Spotify back then. So while my music was, had been released and I was just sort of promoting it, I was like, what I want to do now is I want to do a Let's Play channel where I get to, be funny and make content for people to watch and hopefully alleviate some of their stress for 10 to 20 minutes a day. So I researched the hell out of it. At the time, there was not a lot of information on Google on how to create a Let's Play setup. So I sort of had to just figure it out, from like the occasional YouTube comment or Reddit comment or Yahoo Answers, like of people who all had different setups and different ideas of how it could work. So I did the best I could, and I managed to create this haphazard little thrown together weird setup that worked. And I used my music equipment, like my microphone and my music, like a recording computer and stuff for audio, and I had a capture card that didn't need a PC because I was too broke to buy a PC. Recorded directly to a hard drive, and I recorded. I did 2 episodes a day every day for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
What?
10-minute episodes twice a day, every day for 2 years. And that was during a full-time job.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 'cause
so you just dived into the deep end.
Yeah, I just wanted to be there for people. And, I got those comments.
Wow.
I got those comments, man. Like, I was doing it for a couple of months, and people were just like, "Oh, I'm so glad you uploaded. I've had such a shit day. Like, you guys just make me feel so much better. Just hearing people just like chat in the background, it just makes me forget." I'm like, I am that thing to these people now. I'm what Game Grumps was to me. I'm that to other people. I've basically succeeded in what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to make, like, obviously making money off it would be great, but my initial motivation for doing it was wanting to, take that stress away from people for just a little bit.
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, you've gone. Obviously, you're about to hit 500,000 on there. Like, what has the growth been like for you? Like, how long did it take? Because I know there's people that are listening to this that are like, I want to be a YouTuber. Like, how does this work? And it's different for everybody, obviously. But like, your personal story, like, how was that growth for you over the years? And did you ever see was there ever a moment where it like popped off?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way it happens on YouTube. Is it explodes.
Yeah.
There's no slow growth about it. Either it explodes or you don't grow. That's literally how it works. And I think that's how it is with all social media. Because social media is such a fast creature. Unless you're big at the moment, then nothing you create can honestly permeate. So you need to be big by doing it quickly, because it's always such a violent process going viral.
Yeah.
Like, you'll do something and it'll get picked up by some godly algorithm, and just your phone explodes because you're a small creator at the time, so you have all your notifications on just to catch anything, because you're told that you need to like reply to everybody, or you need to like every comment, or you need to be present and everything. So whenever whenever it explodes, it's all your notifications are still on, so your phone literally blows the hell up. But the whole the timeline of how I got to where I am now is actually insane, and it's literally the definition of never giving up, never quitting, never knowing when to stop. And I'll tell you my mentality about it, and honestly, it made it a lot easier for when things got hard. And so I started doing YouTube in 2014. For 7 years. And I've only been a popular YouTuber, so to speak, for 2 of those years, for the last 2 years. Yeah, so 5 years of constant, non-stop creating with no rewards. And so it started in 2014. That's when I started doing YouTube. That's when I was doing the gaming channel, Metal Ass Gaming at the time, MAG. For the acronym. And I was doing a full-time job Monday to Friday. And on the end of Friday, I would set up my living room, because I didn't have any other room in my house. I had to just completely dismantle and destroy my living room with a green screen, and bring my studio equipment from upstairs to downstairs, hook up the TV to all the games consoles. And then on Saturday, my friend come over, John, who I used to work with, and we got on really well. I was like, that'll be really good for natural conversation and jokes and stuff like that, because we were just funny, always laughing. So then we would literally record all day on Saturday. So he'd show up at 12 and then he'd leave at 2 a.m. So we would be recording episodes all day. Yeah, so you have to remember, it's like 14 episodes a week.
Shit.
And
wow.
So we'd record all day Saturday, and then he'd leave at 2 a.m. So he'd leave, and then I'd have to fix my living room again, because it was a complete bomb site. And then I'd have to export all of the audio, all of the camera footage from the camera, and then all of the captured footage from the hard drive. So 3 separate sources. I'd have to export it all onto the one hard drive, and then on Sunday I would literally spend all day editing. So I'd wake up, get breakfast, go into my studio, and I'd edit all day, and I'd edit all 14 episodes in one day. Yeah, so I'd wake up and
that is maniacal, dude.
so it's what I wanted to do, and I was like, and I'll tell you my mentality that makes it easy to do. And so I'd start editing at like 10 a.m. and I wouldn't go to bed until about 3 a.m. And like I'd go through every single episode in the list that I'd edited, because I'd edit them first and then export them all. So then before I went to bed, I'd right-click export every single episode, all 14. So then when I woke up in the morning, usually about 3/4 of them had finished being exported. So then I'd set episode 1 and 2, for Monday. I'd set those up to upload before I left for work. So I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go into my studio, find that at least the first 2 episodes have exported. I'd set them to upload to YouTube. I'd go downstairs, get breakfast, and then I'd go to work. While I was at work, I'd log into my YouTube channel and finish doing the titles and the descriptions and all that shit, and set it to schedule upload at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. because we were working to American time.
Right.
Because only Americans watch YouTube, apparently. And that was all before the boss got in. So I'd get into work and I'd actually finish doing my YouTube stuff in work on a work computer. So I'd set the titles and everything like that, set the description, set the scheduling, and then boom, save, done. So I can, finish work, get back home, and then as soon as I got back home on Monday, I would then upload everything else. So then Tuesday through to Friday, it was just work, 9 to 5 day job situation. And then on Saturday, it would start all over again. And that wasn't like every other weekend. That wasn't on a weekend I felt like doing it. That was every single weekend for 2 years. I didn't have a single weekend off. I didn't go out drinking. I didn't go out traveling. I didn't be like, I don't feel like doing it. Every single weekend, every single one. I sacrificed every single weekend to make that work. And the mentality that I had to make sure that I did that was whenever it gets hard, that is the exact moment when things can happen.
Yeah.
So if it's easy, if you're having a fun time, things likely aren't gonna spark and explode and take off, because you're motivated. It's easy to do shit when you're motivated. But whenever things start getting difficult, that is the moment where you need to prove to yourself that this is what you want to do. And because I knew that's what I wanted to do, whenever things got hard, it was easy for me to keep going. I'm like, oh shit, this is hard to do. Right. This is the opportune moment to start striking while the iron is hot. When things are difficult, this is when I feel weirdly the most motivated to start doing better at what I'm doing, because this is what they call paying your dues. These are the hard times that every YouTuber talks about after they've made it. And I'm like, I'm living these hard times. I'm living my story that I'm going to be telling when I'm successful. So if I quit now, I don't have this story. If I quit now, there's no success. So the fact that it's hard means that it's working. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
and I mean,
it's just like, it's hard. Good. I'm glad it's hard. That means it's fucking working,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like a lot of people give up before they hit that success point. And like you said, they don't get to tell their story because they just ended their book too soon.
Exactly. Yeah. And I always had a small resentment for people like that. Like people who said they have these dreams and as soon as it gets hard, they just quit. It was hard to have sympathy for those kinds of people, because I'm just like, then you didn't dream hard enough. It wasn't visible enough in your head, or it just, you became complacent, or you realized that your dream isn't worth the hard work. But mine was. I absolutely knew what it was that I wanted to do. And, I would look at my life rather than day to day. I'd look at my life as a whole and be like, 40 years from now, what do I want to be doing? I'm like, definitely not working for Concentrics or Symantec or whatever the company was at the time. And I was just like, yeah, I absolutely don't want to be working 9 to 5, especially for someone else. And that just made it so easy to get through the tough times. So easy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then
for sure, yeah, having that. Yeah, go
the
ahead.
next step. So after two to 3 years of doing that, John left because unfortunately he was one of those people who, as soon as it became hard, couldn't handle it. And that sort of pissed me off, really pissed me off. But I can't expect it. I mean, and that is the exact reason why I was a solo artist. My entire life has always been the second I add other people into my projects, everything falls to fucking pieces. Because no one ever handles my dream or handles, my creative property with as much care as I do. As soon as things get hard, I've just watched people leave. And then because they've had a stake in what I do, they've had a responsibility in something that I've done, it can't be done without them. Or now I have more work to do. That's pretty much all my creative career has been. So I try and limit the amount of people who are involved in what I do as much as I possibly can. Because I've had nothing but bad experiences with it. And it still happens. I've had an entire... Incubus doesn't have a music video. So our biggest single, Incubus, doesn't have a music video because I finally trusted a videographer to shoot the video for us rather than me doing it. So I'd be in makeup shooting the rest of the guys, and then I'd set the camera up, get in front of it, and then I'd do my stuff. I was like, we're going to get a videographer for this. I finally trusted a videographer with it, and literally the night before, Lubomir was in the air. He was flying over. We'd all gotten the day off work. Connor was coming up on the train from Dublin. He'd got the day off work, and that was like a pain in the ass. The night before, the guy was just like, "Yeah, I can't do it. Sorry. I need more money." And I was like, "Well, I can't. Well, you can have more money if you want, but like I don't have it right now." And then he was like, "Oh, okay. Also, I can't stay past 6 p.m." I'm like, "Mate, we're gonna start filming at 6 p.m. Like we have promo stuff to shoot up until 6 and prep. Like we're meant to be shooting all weekend." But yeah, and then he ducked out, and ruined the entire video. So then we had to settle for a lyric video. And I sometimes lose sleep thinking about what that video could have been, what it could have meant.
Damn.
Yeah. So this is why I trust very few people with my creative property. Because I've had nothing but perpetual disappointment. So after those 2 to 3 years of doing YouTube with John left, hid my resentment about it, because apparently things were already hard on him, even though I was the one who did everything anyway, but whatever. And then our good friend PewDiePie. PewDiePie decided to do, I can't even remember what it was he did anymore. Oh, I think it may have been something Nazi related. But
yes.
He made a boo-boo.
He sure did.
Yeah, he triggered Adpocalypse #1.
Yep.
And MAG was no longer financially sustainable after that. By that point, after 2 years, after a year and a half of working my ass off, by the way, I was able to leave my full-time job and do MAG full-time.
Wow.
Even though we weren't that big a channel at all, because I approached it from a business standpoint, I made it as profitable as a channel that size could possibly be. And thankfully, living in Northern Ireland is very cheap. So I was able to quit my job and do YouTube full time. I think by 2016 that happened. So that was really good. So when Adpocalypse hit and I saw our meager ad revenue become even more insignificant, I started to panic. And then we have along came a Logan Paul who decided to go to Japan.
Oh God.
Oh,
Logan. This was shortly, by the way, just to put myself into the story, this was shortly after I filmed Logan Paul at my friend's reptile zoo. My buddy owns a reptile zoo in Southern California, and he called me one day and he was like, "Hey, this YouTuber named Logan Paul is coming in. Can you come film behind the scenes?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know who the fuck that is." So that was the first time I met Logan, and then continue your story because the shit he did was just ridiculous.
Yeah, he seems to have matured a lot.
Agreed.
He's over his mid-20s now, which is usually where people start to calm the fuck down. But yeah, he went to Tokyo. He went to Japan, and then he went to the suicide forest, and he filmed a suicide victim hanging from a tree, and did a crass YouTube reaction face to it. And mainstream media caught wind of it, and then when mainstream media took all that evidence to big brands who usually pay a lot of money to advertise on YouTube, they all pulled their funding. They all pulled their ads from YouTube, and the money dropped even more to the point where I was in a really tough spot, and I had to make a choice. And the decision I had to make was go back to full-time work and, try and rebuild MAG on YouTube, or adapt, change, and try and find another way to, stay profitable. And that's when I decided to learn Twitch. Streaming is a completely different beast to recording game footage. Everything's done on the fly, so there's no post-production at all. Everything needs to sound good as it's happening. Everything needs to look good as it's happening. You can't just, fix it in post. So that was very, very stressful. So I had, I had to spend what little savings I had and what little time I had on learning what streaming was and how it worked in a time where streaming wasn't really that big. There wasn't really a lot of hardware for it. A lot of it was sort of thrown together and very makeshift. There was a lot of technology that was being used incorrectly in order to make this shit work. And I had to learn how to stream. I had to buy all the streaming equipment. And because I wanted it to sound as good as it possibly could, I ended up spending more money than I needed to by buying things that I thought were going to work and didn't. So that was heartbreaking. So I'd spent all the time I had and all the savings we had on building this pretty decent streaming setup, and we started streaming on Twitch. And at the time, Twitch was not very popular. Like, people on YouTube had no idea what the fuck Twitch was or how Twitch works. And people were very, very stubborn about coming off of YouTube, because the second they went onto twitch.tv, they were like, what the hell is this? What is this user interface? I have no idea how this works. Fuck this, I'm out. So we lost a lot of our fan base, but the one we did have was extremely supportive and very generous and very kind. As you've seen on my streams, to this day, they're still incredibly kind and generous, very supportive. And that's what it was like on Twitch. So I managed to save MAG by taking the entire concept and moving house to another platform. And there we stayed on Twitch until it ended in 2018.
Wow. Damn.
And then in 2018, let's see, I went through another massive dose of depression, really, really bad, because I had decided to take up daily vlogging alongside
which is the
Twitch.
most detrimental thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
and you'll know this too, because you've told me about it.
Yeah.
And it was the same experience I had. Like, whenever Casey was doing his daily vlogging thing, like, vlogging was a massive thing on YouTube when he was doing it. We all did it because it's a fantastic way to be creative. It's like a constant flex,
Yeah.
who can be the most cinematic, who can get the best looking camera, the best lenses. Because everything was so run and gun at the time, like, nobody knew really what to use or how to film. Casey was using a DSLR to fucking vlog because that's what he'd worked with before, not because it was what was good for vlogging.
Yeah.
So then you had a bunch of kids like just running around with DSLRs, like filming themselves out in public, which is not what DSLRs are for. It was just experimental constantly. So I was always adapting and being almost at the forefront of a lot of things, or at least in the early stages of a lot of concepts and a lot of platforms, or even just a lot of topics. And I did daily vlogging, and I was, because I kind of wanted to have my own name because Metal Ass Gaming was visually cooperative. Even though, all the production and uploading and editing, like literally everything was done by myself, there were still two people on that couch. I wanted to branch off on my own and do my own channel and see if I could make that big as well, because, money was only sustainable at that point. It wasn't comfortable. And I decided to drop the alternative side of myself, like the sort of J-rocky gothic aesthetic that I had most of my adult life, all of my adult life, most of my teen years. So I decided to tone myself down in order to be more marketable, I have a broader demographic if I was normal looking. And that really fucked me up mentally. It was really detrimental to my mental health, not being able to be who I wanted to be, trying to fit into where I wasn't going to. And after 2 years of it, and just not like I was breaking my balls. I was like busting my ass trying to do daily vlogging and be successful and make it. And after 2 years, it just wasn't happening, and it was super crazy hard work. And it was the hardest it had ever felt because I wasn't being me. At least on MAG, I was, So when things got hard, it was literally just the work that needed to be done. But with my daily vlogging, it was hard work, but it was also I wasn't able to be authentically myself. And I had this incredibly potent personality. I don't want to say disorder, but it was just a lack of personal identity. And I was just so miserable. I was so depressed. And the fact that I couldn't work through the tough times was messing with me even more, because for the first time I wasn't able to work through something that was difficult. And I didn't know what I wanted because I was like, I'm not myself. I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but I can't stop doing it because I've never quit on anything ever. And then I daily vlogged to an alternative clothing convention. And while I was there, I sort of, Kaya inspired me to put on makeup again and dress alternative. Mainly because I think she didn't want to be there with a normal looking boyfriend. So she's like, you can't look like that here.
Fair.
So I got dressed up. I put the contact lenses in and I put the big boots on. And at first I was like, because I hadn't worn it in a while, I was just like, man, I feel so uncomfortable. And then within an hour, I was just like, fuck, I feel like me again. And I watched the vlog, and it's like watching me wake up.
Wow.
For the first time in 2 years. And then as soon as I got back from this event, this alternative clothing event in London, I got back, and then I was fully, it was such a tough moment. I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing, gothy ass stuff again. I'm going to put on clothes and makeup, and I'm going to, do sit down videos, and I'm going to vlog wearing makeup and contact lenses and dyeing my hair crazy colors and wearing all these crazy clothes. And my audience up until that point hadn't seen me like that at all. And I was afraid that I was going to do a video. I was going to upload this video of me looking completely different, and I was going to ruin my channel. I was going to kill it dead. I'm going to upload this video, and everyone in the comments is going to be like, what the fuck? Why does he look like that? Unsubscribe. And then that was going to be it. It was going to die. And I was so depressed, and I was in such a tough situation that I was willing to try anything. I was like, I need to just be myself again. If this fails, at least I get to just be me. And I uploaded the video, and everyone was super accepting of it, and they were like, whoa, it's so good to see you like this again, and it's amazing to see how happy you are. It's like, you look way different, but I dig it. And I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. And I was finally able to create content on my own personal channel again. But even though it was hard, I felt a lot happier working on it. because it was something creative that I actually wanted to do. I was able to, authentically be myself on the channel. And then I started getting a few questions like, so like, are you a goth or like what? And then I was like, oh, I should probably answer that question. And then I made a video called, Why Do I Dress Like This? Am I goth? And I made that video just as we flew out to Birmingham to play one of the worst gig experiences of my life. The show was fire. The entire experience, on the other hand, was just the worst. But I uploaded that video, and it was set to upload the first night I was in Birmingham to set up to play. And while I was there, that video blew the fuck up. It exploded. For the first time in my YouTube career, in 5 years, 4.5, a video I uploaded had taken off. Like I was watching the views explode. It was literally the roadrunner that the coyote has been trying to get this entire time. It was the Sasquatch in the forest that no one's ever seen, and he's right there, bending over, spreading his fucking cheek. Like, as a small creator, every time you hit upload, every single time a video goes live, you look at the numbers, you wait, and you see if those numbers are gonna explode and start racking up faster than usual, or if comments start coming in super fast. Like, has it happened? Like, you're constantly uploading things in the hopes that it's going to go viral or it's going to get picked up by the algorithm, and you start getting those fast notifications, or you start getting those fast numbers growing. Like, oh my god, it's happening! My career's about to happen. I'd been hunting that since 2014.
Yeah.
And I uploaded this video. I didn't even think about it. I wasn't even like, this is going to be my big video. Didn't even think about it. I just uploaded a video and I just went to go play the show. And I checked my phone. It had been up for like 2 hours, and it had like, I think, no, it had been up for 10 hours, and it had like 20,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what the fuck? For context, whenever I upload a video back then, in 10 hours, I'd have about 1,000 views.
Sure.
Maybe. But this had like 25,000 views, and it was like growing fast. Like I think within a few days, it had like 100,000 views or something like that.
Wow.
And like, I don't know what it was, but like, I had gotten more subscribers from that than some people get from a video that has millions of views.
Right.
So I don't know what it was about me or whatever I was putting out there, but it made people want to subscribe. So
Wow.
even though the views were still only like 80,000, 100,000, 150,000 at some point, like, which is quite low whenever we're talking about virals.
Sure.
Even though the views weren't that high, the amount of subscribers from those views was ridiculous, really, really high. And yeah, my channel absolutely exploded. And the second I got back from Birmingham, I hit the ground running. I was releasing content all the time. And I was trying new things constantly. I was winging it sometimes, like literally hitting record on the camera and just being like, yeah, okay, so we're going to be doing a dramatic reading of something. Or, there's two videos where like I was uploading content and it was getting like 40,000 views in a day. Everything I uploaded was getting 40,000 views.
Holy
Anything
shit.
I thought of within 24 hours was getting 40K views. Whatever I thought of. I was finally able to like not have to try and think of like a popular video to do.
Yeah.
Like literally anything I did was gold. I could just do whatever I wanted. It was the most liberating feeling ever. And it was such a power trip. But I remember being like, fuck, I can do anything now. So I literally put makeup on, had a tight shot on my face, sat down in front of this microphone, and I literally, and this is no joke, I literally did a improv story on the spot. And there's two of them. There's a romance one and there's a horror one. I literally sit down and I'm just like, hey, so today what I'm going to do is improv a story on the spot, and let's do it. So I had nothing written down, no script, nothing. I literally sat there and just came up with an entire story as I was saying it. And that was one of those moments where I was just like, this is awesome. I can just do whatever I want. And then, you know, the usual thing happens where the viral potential of a video runs out.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no longer people seeing your viral video and then seeing the new one you've uploaded. So not everything you upload is gold anymore. You actually have to build on the audience that are, you know, actually there.
Right.
And then, you know, throughout the years since 2018, I've released, you know, the Drunk Goth Reacts to E-Girls, which was another viral that was like 1.5 million it's at now. And I did a bunch of other reaction videos that all went really, really big, like 800,000. I did my Linkin Park cover, which is like nearly 1 million views now. So I just kept hitting like new virals like every few months, and that would just spark more huge growth. And it's because a lot of people would be like, wow, okay, so I have a huge video and all these people are coming in. I'm just going to relax now. I did the complete opposite. I was like, my channel's just taken off. This is when the real fucking work starts.
Yeah.
And I was uploading constantly. My entire life for like a year and a half was just all about content creation. I was always editing, or I was in my studio thinking of new videos, or, you know, I was working in social media. And I did that since 2018 up until this point, and it's, you know, it's still going. That's the entire timeline.
When you hit 100K, like that's like a huge milestone for people on YouTube. Like how did you feel? Like, what was your reaction to that?
It was really weird because that 100,000 subscribers for the longest time had been my only goal.
Right.
Because I thought it was such a humble goal, you know, like, because at the time I wanted 100,000 subscribers. That was a lot. But by the time I hit it, it was no longer a lot. So whenever I hit 100K, I was like, I literally hadn't thought past it. It was the strangest thing, you know. I set a goal that I didn't think I was going to achieve, but I wasn't going to stop until I did. And then I hit it, and I hit the hell out of it. And I was just like, it's not enough. I've literally never thought about this, but it's not enough. I need more. I need to do more. I need to achieve more. I need to do more for people. And I didn't know what I wanted. You know, I hit the 100,000. And at one point I was like, well, you did it, kid. Like, this is what you wanted. And I'm like, I guess. I hit 100,000. I was absolutely ecstatic because that was the only goal I had set myself, and I'd hit it. And then I had that sort of remorse, you know, that achiever's remorse, you know, where you get the gold, or you win first place, or you win the science fair or whatever. You achieve the one thing you fucking wanted, and now you don't have a goal anymore. So now that work ethic, it's just like, what do I do with it? And yeah, I hit the 100,000. I didn't really know what to do, but I knew it wasn't enough, and I didn't know where to go with it after that. You know, I was like, what's my next goal? 500,000? 1 million? Like, wow, 1 million is ridiculous. But now here I am, half of it.
Yeah.
Like a year later. In a year, I think I made like an extra 300,000 subscribers in a year.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And it just grew like crazy. And it slowed down a little now, but that's because Monroe has become such a prominent part of my career now.
Right.
I no longer have that time to spend on doing YouTube constantly. So it's not that like I'm freaking out that my channel's not growing anymore. I've achieved a lot of things I wanted to achieve, you know? So the fact that I'm not growing exponentially anymore, like, you know, I still get a few hundred a day, which is going to equate to 500,000 in like a few months or a month, a few weeks. But yeah, it's going to grow, or it's not going to grow as fast, or it's going to grow quick. I don't really care. You know, I've sort of achieved a lot of the things I wanted to achieve. 1 million subscribers would be great, but I've seen 1 million subscriber channels that don't do great, you know? And I've seen 500,000 sub channels that do fantastic. So I think after a certain point, subscribers they don't really matter that much anymore. And it becomes more about how healthy your viewership is.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say after about 200,000, 300,000, it doesn't really matter how many subs you have anymore. Because like I've seen channels who have 600,000 subscribers and they get like 10,000 views per video.
Right.
So what the fuck does subscribers matter really? If
Yeah.
you're
If
as
your
a creator,
viewership
you're
isn't
not.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. So it's more just trying to make sure that the videos I'm uploading are fulfilling my current viewer base, but also bringing in enough people and they're happy with seeing it, whether they subscribe or not.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about trying to make sure the videos I upload do well. That's my main focus. I don't really care about growing anymore.
Sure. And with Monroe, like, talk about what your plans are, your goals are with that, because I know that that's, like you said, taking up more of your time and more of your energy now than your YouTube stuff, which I think is great that you have like this other project, this other passion that you're diving into and doing more of. So talk about the goals with Monroe, what you have coming up. And I mean, you just got off a headlining tour. Like, talk about that a little bit as well.
Sure. So my goal for Monroe, it's not humble. I want to rule the fucking world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Monroe to be that fucking band, you know, that everyone fucking talks about all the time. You know, it's like, did you see the new Monroe video? Like, oh my god, like they look so cool. Like the song is so amazing. Did you hear his voice, the guitar tone? Like, I want people to just be fucking obsessed with it. Everyone in the alternative community, so much buzz about it that we bleed into the mainstream. Like Slipknot.
Yeah.
You know, like Slipknot are so big, Disturbed as well.
Yeah.
You know, like all these huge iconic bands, they're so big now that even the mainstream can't ignore it. They have to acknowledge that we're fucking here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the alternative subcultures are here and we exist and we're passionate and we're fucking loud. That's what I want for Monroe. I want Monroe to be huge. I'm not saying that's going to happen in the next year. You know, you can't reach icon status in just a few short years. But Monroe is going to be going for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But it'll happen eventually. Monroe will be that huge, big fucking band. And I'm going to make sure that's going to happen. Because I literally can't stop doing it. You know, like Monroe's coming up to 10 years now. 2013, it started as a solo project. So in 2023, it'll be 10 years, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something for it. Might re-release the first album as a, you know, re-recorded completely.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I talked to
Yeah.
my band in Australia that I was in for a year and a half about like re-releasing those songs, and they were like, nope, we're not doing that. They suck. I was like, come on, man. It would be fun just to like redo that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think it's a cool idea. So I think you should totally pursue that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to differ greatly, I'm extremely proud of my first songs from
Sure.
2013. I think they're fucking phenomenal. They're not mixed well at all.
Yeah.
But I poured so much of my heart into that, more heart than I think I've poured into anything since. Mainly because I was just so desperate to write music in that first album that I did literally anything and everything for those songs. And it's the strangest, most eclectic stuff. But yeah, I want to re-record some of the better tracks on that album and re-release them, reimagined, remastered. Not remastered, completely redone from the ground up. As you know, like if I was to write them again today, that's what they'd sound like. But yeah, that's what I want from Monroe. I want headline tours, sold out shows. Speaking of sold out shows, inaugural tour for Monroe, UK tour. I was a little bit apprehensive, a little bit of trepidation going into doing a UK tour because my fan base and my viewer base is not based in the UK at all. At all. Like if you look at my analytics on YouTube or even on Spotify, we don't get a lot of recognition in the UK at all. Or Europe. America is far better at recognizing something that's unique. They're far better at spotting trends, and they're far hungrier whenever it comes to content. People in the UK and Europe tend to be more focused on drinking themselves to death.
I mean,
They don't really seem
yeah.
to give a flying fuck about anyone else except for themselves. But despite that, we started the headline tour, our first ever headline tour, as a technically unknown band, with a sold out show in Glasgow. And that was, I still recall it. It's going to be burned in my memory forever. No matter who I become or where I go, it's going to be there, completely untainted by anything, because it's such a pure memory. I remember being by the side of the stage after being escorted up to the performance room by security, and the intro song is playing, and we hadn't played a show in 2 years, and the last show we played was in Birmingham, and it was an absolute shit show. The show was great, but my experience was horrific. I nearly knocked out another member of the other band. But I bit my tongue, and I was like, no, if I knock his ass out, the show is canceled, and everyone who came here to see us will be disappointed, so I can't. And I'm standing there by the side of the stage, sold out show, and people are chanting. They're chanting my name. They're chanting, "Let's fucking go." They're screaming. They're shouting. They're super excited. And I'm like, this isn't me opening for a bigger band. This is a headline show. These people are screaming and shouting and bought tickets, and they're in here right now in this cramped, because it's sold out. So everyone's like shoulder to shoulder. They're all here because they want to see me and the band. And that, before I was even on stage, I was like, this is the most phenomenal feeling that I, up until this point in my 30 years on this planet, have never felt. Ever. This is new. This is a new feeling. It's a new emotion. And the intro song plays, the guys step on stage, and there's like applause as each one of those guys get on. And then the point in the intro song comes when it's time for me to go on stage. And I'm wearing in-ears, right? I'm wearing noise canceling in-ear monitors. So I can't hear anything, right? But despite that, I walk up on stage and I can hear the crowd through the noise canceling earbuds that I'm wearing. And they erupt when I go on stage. They just explode. And it was the most intense noise and intense feeling at the same time. It was overwhelming. And it's not something I'm ever going to forget. And the next show after that was in Manchester. It was nearly sold out. I think it was like 220 people out of 250 capacity. That was incredible with the circular stage. Yeah, it was really awesome. Really cool venue. And then the show after that was in Birmingham, I think. Great turnout for that as well. Loads of people there. Getting sick on the tour was less than desirable. Because I got sick. I got really sick. But I didn't cancel a single show. We did a limited set in Nottingham, which I regret to this day. But I know it was necessary to make it limited because the show the night after was in London, and the London show was sold out, and there was going to be big people there, important people, and I needed to make sure I had the energy to put on the best show I possibly could. But despite that, the people in Nottingham were amazing, and I had a great time. I had a great time doing a limited set in Nottingham. I really did.
That Glasgow show, like, I remember, because, obviously I'm there filming everything, and
That's right
before you went on stage, like, it was one of those situations, hearing the crowd and experiencing that with you, like, it was one of those things where I was so excited for you that all I could do was, like, laugh, because I could, like, there was no other emotion that I could, like, express my excitement with, and I was just, like, giggling to myself with excitement for you. Like, it was such a cool experience, because, I mean, it was my first time seeing Monroe play as well, my first time interacting with you and the band, and to see you guys, like, in your element, do your thing, like, it was so inspirational for me as an artist as well, to see that, hey, like, this is possible for anybody, and you've built this following over the years that I tell people it's like a cult following. Like you have a very passionate following, and it's amazing to see them come out for you and show up for you and support you in anything and everything that you do. I mean, from creating content to playing shows to making like merch items, like your plushie that you just made that oversold what your goal was for that. Like it's incredible to see the support of your fan base. And like, can you like just talk a little bit more about that and like what that's meant to you as a creator to have such a loyal and kind fan base?
Yeah. Well, it's I've struggled to put it into words articulately over the years because it's one of the most incredible feelings especially to have a cult following, not a casual or a passive following. These people that follow me and watch my stuff are dedicated, and they're incredibly kind to each other and me, and they're amazingly supportive. And these could be words are cheap. So let me just give you an example. I needed a mental health break. I burnt the fuck out, right? I couldn't create anything anymore. So I stepped away from doing YouTube for 3 weeks, which is a death sentence, right? Especially if you create 2 to 3 times a week, every single week. Taking 3 weeks off, it's like you've lost everyone, bud. Reset, start again. I took 3 weeks off. I came back with a video, and I got 50,000 views in a day on that new video. Everyone was still there. They were waiting for me. They were worried about me. And I uploaded, and all the comments were just like, God, I'm so glad you're back. We're still here. And that, to me, showed so much about my audience that it was valuable to know that. And that like learning that about my audience was, it was really important, to know that, I can think they're dedicated, but I can't know until something like this happens. So that was amazing. I did it again a few months after because of Monroe. Like Monroe took up so much time, and I was away again for 3 weeks, and I came back, same thing. I came back like 50,000 views in a day, 24 hours within the video being uploaded, 40,000, 50,000. And it was awesome to know that I can take these breaks and work on other things, and when I come back, people are still there. And but in terms of what it's like to actually have this kind of audience and to have the support that they provide, I keep telling people the easiest way to describe it is like it's like having a cheat code for life. It's like playing a video game, and you triangle, circle, X, up, down, start, circle, like. And like, boom, you got all guns or all money, or, you unlock that house or whatever. But it's like having a cheat code for real life. Anything I want to do. If I'm like, I want to release a t-shirt, or I feel like being a comedian, or, here's a Patreon, or, I feel like being a musician, or literally anything I want to do on any platform. Or anything creative, literally anything I want to do. If I tell my audience about it, it immediately becomes successful. It immediately does well. People go to it and they're like, this is amazing. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I need it. I want it. I'm supporting it.
It is amazing.
Yeah, I don't have to do that slog anymore. I don't have to do the working, the constant like grind with no reward. Whether or not you're actually going to get the reward at all. Like being a small creator is a living hell. It really, because you have to work as hard as a professional YouTuber just without any of the rewards.
Yeah.
It's soul destroying, but it's something you have to go through in order to get one of the most incredible things in the world, which is a dedicated following. In today's day and age, having a dedicated online following, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Like whatever you feel like, whatever you want to do creatively, it's gonna succeed. It is honestly phenomenal to have that kind of immediate gratification.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so what's next for you? Like, what do you want to do from this point? I mean, the world is kind of, I mean, we just kind of went into a lockdown again, but it's kind of opening back up again. And I'm sure a bunch of your followers want to know, like, are you going to vlog more? Like, and you just started doing moto vlogs as well. Like, we didn't even talk about the moto vlogs. Like, you're creating content that other people create, but in a way that a vlogger would create it. Like, you're doing it in a way that is unique to you, and you're doing it better than other people are doing it. And I mean, I don't even watch moto content, but like, yours is so entertaining, you have to watch it. It's so entertaining.
I think so too.
God
I have
damn.
to agree. I do. I agree. It's honestly strange because, I'm a vlogger and I was pretty good at it. And, whenever I started, because I've been into motorcycles for a long time, but I just never had the money for it. But, having a successful YouTube channel means, you have some, disposable income to start pursuing some of your hobbies or interests that you never could before. And I was finally able to indulge myself and pursue motorcycles. And boy, did I get into motorbikes. Jesus Christ. So I watched YouTube channels on how to ride them, and the different kinds of bikes and the different powers and the different terminologies and the vernacular that's used and, the everything to do with bikes. And the vlogger in me was just like, how do I take what I have done with vlogging, with, being cinematic and telling a story, setting up shots and audio and making sure visually everything is looking fantastic, like dynamic range and, custom LUTs and stuff like that, and color grading and, compressors and making the audio sound crisp and great, like getting that quality that keeps people watching. Like if you dip in quality, people click away. So it's keeping that the best quality you can possibly do. How do I apply that to a bike? Because I watched so many motorbike channels, so many motorbike vlogs, and I'm like, this is not. Then none of them are vloggers. They're motorcycle guys who are just trying to convey information on a motorbike. So a lot of it is lacking that sort of cinematic vlogger flair, because there's not a lot of vloggers who are motorcyclists. And whenever I got my motorcycle license, the first thing I did was research how I can apply, my cinematic vlogging style to a motorbike. And it took me a long time, and I got a lot of, mounts and clips and cameras and all sorts of shit that didn't quite work. And been through a bunch of mics for my helmet and, different recording devices and all sorts of things that I tried and tested. Same with streaming. It was just I bought like a lot of stuff, stuff that people didn't even say worked. Stuff that people never even talked about. I was like, that might work with this audio recorder, and I could mount that on the back rather than having it in my pocket like everyone else does. I can mount it on the back of the helmet, and I can put this in here so it's shielded from the wind. And I came up with this incredible setup, and people watch my vlogs and they're like, how are you floating? Like, is there a drone following you? Like, why is the camera floating above the bike? Why can I see everything? Why is this so like easy to watch? And the audio is fantastic. It sounds like you're in a studio, but it's in your helmet. Like, how is the camera floating above you even when you're walking around? Like, I did the research, and I looked into the best possible way I could do a vlog on a motorbike, and I applied it. And, it's to this day, out of everything I create, other than music, visually creating motovlogs is my favorite thing to do. It's that creative thing that I do that I get the most satisfaction out of creating. I love doing motovlogs.
Oh, and they're so sick. Are you going to keep doing those on your channel? Are you wanting to do like a new channel for the moto vlogs exclusively? Like, what is your plan for that kind of stuff?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I do have plans to make a motorcycle channel with a friend. But I don't think I'm going to do solo vlogs on it. I think that's going to be all duo stuff. But
cool.
I I'm getting a little bored of reaction videos to certain topics. Reaction videos, they're always going to be on my channel. But 3 reaction videos a week is it's starting to get a little difficult to do motivation wise, and fuck motivation. Like it's such a pointless thing. Like people are always talking about how do I get motivated. You can't get motivated. You can get disciplined, but motivation is fleeting and it's capricious. It comes and goes whenever it feels like it. What you need to do is become disciplined. So when you aren't motivated, you're still fucking making it.
Yeah.
And the discipline in me is telling me that making that many reaction videos it's not making me happy, Yeah. Doing the occasional one is fun, but I can't just make one video a week. So I think what I'm going to do is in 2022, I'm going to be changing my content a bit. I'm going to be still doing reaction videos, but I'm going to be getting creative again, like I was in 2018, where I was just creating anything and everything to see what stuck. So I'm going to be trying a lot of very different things next year. And I think I'm going to bring vlogging back to be a weekly thing, because I loved vlogging. And I did a vlog a few months ago just to see how well a vlog would do on my channel, and it did as well as a reaction video. So
nice.
Yeah, so that was awesome to see. I was really worried. Like I could have uploaded it and it could have done like 20,000 in 24 hours, which would have been bye, not doing that again. But yeah, I got like 35,000 views, 40,000 views in 24-hour period, which is about as much as a reaction video on an off day. So I'm like, yeah, vlogs can totally work on this channel.
Oh man.
Yeah, but we were still in the middle of a pandemic, so I couldn't really do much. So 2022, motovlogs. It's not going to be, motovlog, the vlog. Like I'm going to say it's a vlog about something. People will click it and they'll be like, oh, he's on a motorbike. So motovlogging will be integrated into just, vlogging in general. Because I've noticed that having me in a helmet in the thumbnail does not work. People need to see my face, otherwise the video does not do well. So yeah, I'm going to be doing vlogs, and what I've decided to do is where in a usual vlog, there's the cinematic stuff, there's the travel stuff, and then sometimes you just need to convey information.
Yeah.
And a lot of vloggers will sometimes drop the ball there and just sit in a static shot or sit in a studio and just talk for 15 fucking minutes, when the rest of the video was like, look at this place, look at this traveling, look at this crazy shot, look at this drone shot, and then 15 minutes of one shot of a talking head. And I'm guilty of that too, especially when you're daily vlogging and you just need to get the fucking minutes in. It's like, I've got 3 minutes of cinematic footage. I did not do a lot today. I'm just going to fill the next 7 minutes with me talking. It's just a necessary tool, man. Like sometimes you have 3 minutes of content to make in a day, so you need to stretch it out a bit. But if I ever have any information that needs to be conveyed, if I'm not going somewhere, or if I'm not traveling, or if I'm not doing something, if I ever need to just do a sit down talking segment, instead of like sitting down in my studio and just doing a talking segment, instead I'll just jump on the motorbike and do a motovlog while conveying the same info, because it's so much easy. It's so much more entertaining. It's all about like trying to entertain the kid's face while you put the injection in their leg, so that they don't cry. Look at the keys.
Look at the keys.
Look at the keys. And they're inoculated. There we go.
Oh my god, it's such a good comparison though. Like, it's so true.
Right.
I think you're right, and it's cool that you have a way to do that sit down segment while you're actually doing something else. I think that is going to keep your audience entertained for sure. So you're about to come over here. We about to drive across the country together. Tell me your thoughts about this, and like just hype the people up, because I'm fucking stoked for it. I can't wait to vlog with you and do stuff that's like not just us working,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, I mean, we were fucking talking about this on tour.
Yeah.
Because we were like stepbrothers. Like, did we just become best friends? Yep. Like we had one of those moments on tour. And we were just like, fuck it. Like, we can't just not hang out unless, like, except for when we're touring. We have to, like, actually hang out.
Yeah.
And we were just like, fuck yeah. So this part of some of the vlogging I'm going to be doing next year is just me and you traveling and doing stuff together. Like going to like Prague or Tokyo, whatever.
Oh my
just
God.
going places and doing stuff. And yeah, I like the step one of that is we're doing this vlog together, driving across America, like 7/8 of it, in a truck, just doing stuff, like having fun. No work, no shows, no load in or where the fuck is gas, like none of this stuff. Which was like a running theme on tour.
Where the fuck is gas?
Where the fuck is... I'm gonna get a t-shirt with that on
it. I'm dead. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I'm super stoked for it. I mean, I'm terrified of America. I really am. Because
harmless. I told everyone, I was like, we're gonna do a vlog segment that's gonna be Kay takes a goth to Walmart. We're gonna just
I'll goth up like crazy for that.
Yeah. It's gonna be so fucking funny.
It's gonna be like, exactly, we're not even on it yet and we're already fucking laughing our asses off, just having a good time. Like, it's gonna be the best fucking time.
It's gonna be so good.
But it's here in Europe and the UK, we get to see America from the outside.
Yeah. So
we don't have like that American veil where it's just like, everything's great, Truman. Like, we get to see, a lot of sketchy shit. So whenever it comes to traveling, because we're going to be doing the southern states.
Oh yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, are beautiful.
Sure.
Southern states are beautiful, and a lot of the people are very kind and sweet and nice. Like a lot of my viewer base are from the southern states, and but I am very aware of the gun culture that exists down there, and maybe some of the xenophobia that does too.
Yes.
And I'm just afraid, of pulling up to a gas station and getting shot. I laugh now.
Next vlog segment.
Yeah.
Nah, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll
right.
Be fine. We'll be fine.
Like just our faces, like mouths open with a surprised face, like in the thumbnail, like, we get shot.
We get shot. Clickbait as fuck.
Hey guys, we're at the gas and go and oh my God.
Oh, it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time. I'm very excited.
Like, I know that's like, it's very unlikely to happen, but there is a little bit of fear. I'm super excited, crazy excited to go on this fucking adventure, because it's gonna be an adventure.
Yes.
It's gonna be our Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, there's a little bit of fear. I'm just like, oh my God, what if we get like a sketchy motel? Which we're not gonna, by the way.
Okay, I mean, I'm down. It's fine. It's fine. I've been we have this hotel chain or motel chain called Red Roof Inn, and it's like notorious for like meth, like heroin needles and like fucking black widow spiders crawling over your hand. Like, it's so sketchy. And I've, the first tour I ever went on, we stayed in like 5 Red Roof Inns, and like literally it was like, why is there blood under the blanket? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we're not staying in red. Maybe once, just for the experience.
Jake Monroe goes to Red Roof Inn.
Jake Monroe gets hepatitis from sleeping in a fucking bed at a Red Roof.
Oh my God. But yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited to do these adventures with you over the next
Oh my God. Goth reacts to getting hepatitis in a Red Roof.
Bring your ring light. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I'll bring the ring light, fucking tripods. We'll get it all.
It's gonna be great. I'm very excited for it. So I guess my last question for you really is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started all of this?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, not because there's so many things. it's because I foresaw a lot of it. You know, like I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew I was going to make it eventually, so that was no surprise. You know, in the sense that, like, you're going to make it, kid. Really? You know, like, none of that shit. Like, I'm going to be like, you made it, kid. I'll be like, yeah, I know. Because I worked until I did, or I was going to die first. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, if I was going to say anything to the version of myself before any of this started, or when I was first starting out, would be like, it's going to be as good as you think it's going to be. That's what I'd say. Like, it's going to be as good as you think it is.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to keep following your journey, where can they find you online? Drop your socials.
Yeah, sure. Well, youtube.com/Jake Monroe, Munro. And you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Behold Monroe, same spelling. Or you can follow me on Instagram, where I post stories likely of the adventure that me and Kay are going to be going on as it happens. At The Real Monroe.
OnlyFans coming soon.
OnlyFans legitimately actually really coming soon. Oh boy.
Well, yeah, that was my best friend, Jake Monroe. Haha. Hope you guys like this podcast. Thanks for listening. If you did enjoy it, like I said at the beginning of the show, please leave a rating and feedback, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. It helps the podcast grow. If you do leave a rating and feedback, send me a screenshot of it to Project Freelance on Instagram, and I will actually send you a signed photo print that I've taken of either an abandoned place or somewhere I've traveled to, or maybe a photo of Jake for this episode. We'll see what happens. I do have a lot of photos of him from when we went on tour together, so maybe I'll talk to him about that. We'll see what happens. But thank you again for listening to Project Freelance. My name is Kay, just the letter K, and I will talk to you next time. Stay strong, keep enduring, go out, go explore something, and remember, Liquid Death Mountain Water, it's the best water, so just get it. Use code just the letter K for 10% off your order. All right, I'll talk to you guys next week. Here's to 2022.